Good day, I'm Clarissa Marie Mustafa, the second reporter of Concept and Structure of Personality.
The next topic is Erikson's psychosocial development. Erikson. Erikson, like Freud, said personality develops through stages. He thought that each stage includes a unique psychological crisis. If that crisis is met in a positive way, the individual develops maturity. Parents and other caregivers must be aware of child's needs at a particular stage and be sensitive to a child's needs at that stage. Introduction to 8 stages. Erikson felt that social problems encountered in the course of development were more vital than biological ones, and so he has listed a progression of development stages called psychosocial stages. Psychosocial means psycho relating to the mind, brain, personality, etc. And social means which means that external relationship and environment. Stage 1. Psychological crisis, trust versus mistrust. Infancy 0 to 2 years. The goal is to develop trust. If the primary caregivers, like parents, can give the baby a sense of familiarity, consistency, and continuity, then the baby can develop the feeling that the world is a safe place to be, that people are reliable and loving. If the proper balance is achieved, the child will develop the virtue of hope. During this stage, the infant is completely dependent on their parents and caregivers to meet their basic needs. With consistent care that the infant learn to trust and feel secure and safe. This stage helps a person to be able to trust others and as well as trust in their own ability to deal with challenging situations. When an infant's needs is unresolved, when the mother failed to respond to infant needs, will look at the world with anxiety, fear, doubt, and mistrust. The significant relationship is the mother. Stage 2. Psychological crisis, autonomy versus shame and doubt. Early childhood 2 to 3 years. He began to make choices and express his will. He developed a sense of autonomy and independence. If the child is living in a controlling environment and overly criticized by the people around them, may develop a sense of shame and self-doubt manifested in feeling of worthless and incompetence. Positive balance will develop the virtue of will. They realize that they can do something by themselves, and they insist on those things. So allow and guide them to work and explore in their own will. For example, getting dressed, brushing their teeth, wearing their shoes, and choosing their snack. By allowing them to those things by themselves, it helps in building their self-esteem. If the child is always criticized or not allowing to do what they want, they can feel shame and doubt in their ability to take care of themselves. The autonomy will lead to will to do on their own. The significant relationship is both parents. Stage 3. Psychological crisis, initiative versus guilt. Preschool 3 to 5 years. Child begins to explore his social and physical world, discovering what he can accomplish. At this time, the child gradually becomes aware of the various social rules presented by his environment. If parents are controlling or don't support their child when they make decisions, they may not be equipped to take the initiative, may lack ambition, and could be filled with guilt. A good balance leads to the psychosocial strength of purpose. As a child interacts socially and play with others, they learn that they can take the initiative and control what happens. In this stage, the child will ask, "Is it okay for me to do, act, or move?" With guidance of the teachers and parents, it will help the child to take the initiative to do the things they want. If we hold back our support or tell the child what they're doing is absurd, they may feel guilt. The child wants to complete their activity for a reason or a purpose. Stage 4. Psychological crisis, industry versus inferiority. preschool age 6 to 12 years. During this period, a child begins to compare himself with peers. The child learns to be productive and to accept the evaluation of his or her efforts, and can develop a sense of accomplishment and pride in their academic work, sports, social activities, and home life. In Erikson's view, when the children come to believe that they cannot achieve according to their school, family, or peers, their sense of mastery will give way to personal inferiority. Positive balance will develop the virtue of competency. In this stage, the child discovers their own interests that are different from others. The children want to show that they can do things right and to learn new skills. Many of the significant relationship of children lives takes place at school. If the children receive recognition from the teachers and peers, they become industrious or hardworking. If the children have repeated negative experiences at home or feel that society is too demanding, they may develop feeling of inferiority. Stage 5. Psychological crisis, identity versus rule confusion. Adolescents 13 to 19 years. Identity formation crisis. The question, who am I? What can I do when I become an adult? How do I fit in society? His struggle is based not only on societal demands as an emerging adult, but also on the pubescent age. If a person responds negatively to this crisis, it can lead to rule confusion, uncertainty about themselves and how they fit in society. Important life events center on social relationship. Positive balance will develop the virtue called fidelity, faithfulness. In this age, child faces the challenges of developing a sense of self. In this stage, teens are trying to find themselves. They examining their identity, belief, goals, and values. Adolescents will explore different roles and ideas. Child experiences and social interaction mold their behavior and ideas. If the person responds negatively, they may not develop a strong sense of self. The significant relationship at this age include peer, friends, and role model. In this age, teens also learn how to accept other people who are different than themselves. Stage 6. Psychological crisis, intimacy versus isolation. Young adult, 19 to 40 years. In this stage, the individual develops a warm and intimate relationship with another person. If such sense of intimacy is not acquired during this time of life, a sense of isolation develops. Such attitude is reflected in the ability to trust others in a close and intimate manner. People must develop a strong sense of self so they can develop intimate relationships with others. Positive balance will develop the virtue called love. This is the time people are ready to invest in a serious commitment to others, to build long-term loving relationships, and ready to share their life with others. The significant relationship at this age, partners and friends. When people fail to complete or establish intimate relationship with others, they develop a sense of isolation. Stage 7. Psychological crisis, generativity versus stagnation. Middle adult, 40 to 65 years. Generativity is a way of leaving a mark on the world by giving back to the society. The middle stage comprises the productive years of adulthood, contribution to his family and to the society. According to Erikson, the person who fails to develop this sense of generativity becomes preoccupied with his personal needs and interests. People who complete this stage have the satisfaction of knowing that they're needed. They feel that they're contributing to their families, community, and workplace. In this stage, the person becomes comfortable using their time, creativity, and begin to contribute into society. The significant relationship at this stage include household and work friend. Without the positive feedback in these areas, people may experience stagnation, frustrated that they are unable to raise a family, succeed at work, or contribute to society. They may feel disconnected. They may not feel motivated to invest in the personal growth or in productivity. Positive balance will develop the virtue called caring. Stage 8. Psychological crisis. Ego integrity versus despair. Late adulthood 65 to death. In the last stage, a person comes to terms with temporal limits of his life. It is the fulfillment and culmination. In Erikson's view, it is the achievement of a sense of integrity resulting from identification with mankind. If a person, however, develops attitude of regret and fear of the end of life, then a sense of despair emerges instead. Someone who approaches death without fear has the strength called wisdom. As the person grows older, they tend to slow down, begin to explore life, and begin to look back over their past life. They ask what they have done. They think about their accomplishments, and when they are feeling proud, they feel a sense of integrity. When they fail to fulfill their task during this age, they may feel that their life has been wasted, and they will feel bitterness and regrets in their life. Thank you for listening.
The different stages of psychosexual development. What is the meaning of fixation and where are we fixated? This and more are the things that we are going to talk about today. So welcome to Ed 205 Advanced Educational Psychology. So our assigned topic is the concept and structure of personality. To my generous and beautiful professor, Ma'am Nerissa Beatriz, to all my classmates, a beautiful day. I am Donna D. Paulite, a teacher one of Hibago Elementary School, Ocampo District. Freud's stages of psychosexual development. Talk about first who is Sigmund Freud. So, Sigmund Freud is the most popular and controversial psychologist who studied the development of personality. So, Freud's theory remains to be one of the most influential in the field of psychology, despite the fact that many of his views were criticized and debunked. So, Sigmund Freud is known as the father of psychoanalysis, a branch of psychology that focuses on treating mental illness by examining various stages of growth and types of human behavior. Essentially, the psychoanalytic theory believes that all humans have unconscious desires, feelings, and memories. And according to him, a person who undergoes different stages of development and each stages is marked by conflicts that can help build growth or stifle development depending upon how they are resolved. And if these psychosexual stages are completed successfully, then a healthy personality is the result of this. He also identified a specific erogenous zone. So let's define first what is erogenous zone. So it is a part of a body that is sensitive to stimulation. or he also called it the pleasure zones. Pleasure zone for each development, and if there are certain issues that are not resolved in these specific zones or stages, fixation would come in. First, what is fixation? So the fixation, it is the attachments to people or things that persist from childhood to adulthood. So in other words, we become obsessed or fixated at things because we are stuck somewhere in our own growth and development. To Sigmund Freud, we have 5 stages of psychosexual development stated as follow. So the first stage is the oral stage, followed by the anal stage, the Phallic stage, the latency stage, and the last stage is the genital stage. The first stage under the psychosexual development is the oral stage. It is from birth to 18 months of age. So the erogenous zone under this stage is in the mouth, meaning the child finds the satisfaction and pleasure by using their mouth most of the time. This explains why infants suck almost continuously even they are not being fed. They suck their thumb and they are being comforted by using pacifiers. That is why many infants or babies is gumagamit talaga ng pacifier in order to satisfy their oral, okay, or in order to satisfy their mouth. And when they become older, they tend to put everything in their mouth. For example, the food, the toys, all the things that they will hold, even the soil or even their own poop. Lahat ng iyan or lahat ng mahahawakan nila ay may tendency na ilagay nila yon sa kanilang bibig. So, if if they are cannot satisfy this need or overindulge, they may become fixated in the oral stage. Who is fixated in this particular stage, which is the oral stage, may manifest habits like smoking. Okay, there are people who find satisfaction by smoking or yung paninigarilyo. Or meron namang person na they find their satisfaction by overeating or drinking alcohol or nail biting and then too much talking. Okay? So, a person who is dissatisfied in this stage, meaning hindi niya masyadong nagagawa yung mga oral needs niya in this particular stage, this person may develop this personality called the oral receptive character. And a person who has an oral receptive character is a person who becomes dependent, okay? Dependent on others, or he or she lacks leadership skills or traits. Or ito naman yung mga tao na easily being fooled, madali silang maloko. Or he or she easily believes other person's ideas, or he or she lacks of leadership responsibility or leadership skills. But a person who is overindulged in this particular stage may develop an oral aggressive character. Sila yung nasobrahan sa pagsasatisfy ng kanilang bibig. So, For example, nasobrahan sila ng pagsusubo ng kung ano-ano sa kanilang bibig. So, kaya sila ay nagkakaroon ng oral aggressive character. And kung ang taong ito ay mayroong oral aggressive character, he becomes self-centered o wala silang ibang pinakikinggan kundi yung sarili lamang nila. Or they become demanding, sarcastic, verbally abused, and then aggressive, and they are a person who gossips a lot. Yung mga taong mahilig lang magchismis, or a person who gossip a lot. So in other words, hindi dapat tayo nasosobrahan or hindi din dapat tayo nakukulangan sa pag-satisfy in this particular stage. The next stage in psychosexual development is the anal stage. It is from 18 months to 3 years of age. So in this particular stage, the child's focus of pleasure is in their anus. So meaning, the child finds satisfaction in eliminating and retaining feces. So according to Freud, the role of parents in this particular stage is very crucial. So meaning, especially in the toilet training, Freud believes that the positive experience during the toilet training would give positive impact to the lives of this child. So when he or she grows older. But sad to say, hindi lahat ng magulang ay supportive. At hindi lahat ng mga magulang ay ini-encourage positively yung mga anak nila. So, meron ngang mga magulang na they would punish or shame their child kapag aksidente or hindi napigilan yung pag-poop ng kanilang anak ng kung saan-saan lang. So, and these particular actions of parents would lead to different personality traits. Okay? So, according to Freud, inappropriate parental response can result in negative outcome if the parent who would take or approach to toilet training ay napakabait. Meaning, pinapabayaan niya na yung anak niya is mag-poop kung saan-saan lang. Hindi niya train ng maayos ng pagpunta sa CR at doon ay mag-poop. So, this act could actually develop a particular character or personality, that what we called the anal expulsive personality. When this child grows older who has this personality, ito ay yung mga person na nagiging messy and disorganized, wasteful, and also may develop a destructive personality. So, kaya meron talagang mga tao na may mga ganitong personality. So, dahil yan sa pag-train ng mga magulang natin noong tayo ay bata pa. But when the parents are too strict in this toilet training or sinimulan niya ang toilet training ng kanyang anak ng too early, Freud believes that anal retentive personality would develop, and ang tao na may anal retentive personality is obsessed with cleanliness. Meaning, ito yung mga taong ayaw sa mga marurumi or yung mga makakalat. So, gusto nila organize lahat ng gamit nila. There are also a person who is perfectionist. They are obsessed in perfection. Dapat lahat well calculated, perfect, and all, and with control. So these two, which is anal expulsive and anal retentive personality, is developed based on how the mother toilet trained their child. The anal stage, we have the Phallic stage. So this is from 3 to 6 years of age. At this stage, the child grow more interested in their genitals, wherein the pleasure zone is the genital parts. So at this stage, nag-uumpisa ng lumipat ang erogenous zone into our genital parts. And sometimes you could also see kids in this stage or in this particular age bracket who is fun with their genital. And in this stage also, the children become interested in differences between the boys and the girls. And also, Freud believed that during this stage, boys develop an unconscious sexual desire for their mother's love. So that is what we call the Oedipus complex. So some sort of trivia, an Oedipus is also a character in Greek mythology, and he is the one who intentionally killing his own father and married his own mother. The same is true with psychology. A kid has an Oedipus complex if he loves his mother more than his own father, or he loves his mother and consider his father as rival for his mother love. And that is what we call the Oedipus complex. Or what is Oedipus complex. So when we say Oedipus complex, it is boys begin to have unconscious sexual desires for their mother. And the other one is they want to get rid of their father who is seen as a rival. They fear their father that knows their plan and develop the castration anxiety. When we say castration anxiety, it is a concept wherein a son is afraid that his father will damage his genitals because of his sexual feelings towards his mother. And as a result, they repress their feelings towards their mothers, and they will identify themselves with their father. So they will develop the masculine characteristic and identify themselves as male. And then they will go on to find a woman who can satisfy their needs later in life. So that is what we call the Oedipus complex. Psychoanalysts also believe that girls in this stage, which is the Phallic stage, also have such similar experiences. They also develop an unconscious attraction towards their father. So that is what we call the Electra complex. So, na kung saan Oedipus complex is the son loves towards her mother, and then for the Electra complex, it is the daughter's love towards her father. If the male experiences castration anxiety, the females, according to Freud, experiences penis envy, wherein the daughter is initially attached to her mother, but then she realized she lacks a penis. Then she represses her desire for her father and incorporates the values of her mother. So, in simplest term, it is where mama's boy and papa's girl will come into picture. Where when we say mama's boy, it is the son would love the mother more than his father. And for mama's girl, the daughter love her father more than her mother. And the fixation in this stage would result to sexual deviances, and weak, and also a confused sexual identity, kung saan nalilito siya. Okay? When the person is fixated in this stage, malilito siya kung ano ba yung sexual identity niya. Kung siya ba ay isang babae or kung siya ba ay isang lalaki. And this is where they were experience identity crisis. The next stage after the Phallic stage is the latency stage, wherein it is ages from 6 years until puberty. So, latency stage is sexual urges remain repressed. The children's focus on physical and academic growth. So, the boys, he should go with more boys. And girls would go with more boys. So, ibig sabihin, kung ako, or kung ikaw ay babae, mas ma-attach ka doon sa kapwa mo, babae. And then, kung ikaw ay isang lalaki, syempre, yung magiging kaibigan mo is more boys. So, the latent period is the time of exploration in which the sexual energy is repressed, thus it becomes dormant and energy is rechanneled to the other areas such as social interaction. So, in latency stage, nag-uumpisa ka ng mag-social interact with your same sex or yung babae, mas kakaibiganin niya yung mga babae, and then yung kung lalaki naman, kakaibiganin niya yung mga lalaki. So, this stage is important in the development of social and communication skills and self-confidence. At this particular stage, the fixation can result in immaturity and inability to form fulfilling relationships. Stage under the psychosexual development is the genital stage, wherein it is from puberty onwards. So, under genital stage, the sexual urges are awakened. So, adolescents focus their sexual urge towards the opposite sex, fierce pleasure centered on genitals. Wherein, earlier stages, the focus was solely on individual needs. Interest in the welfare of others grows during this stage. So, a person becomes interested in dating and marriage. So, the more libidinal energy that a child has at this stage, the greater his or her capacity will be develop normal relationships with the opposite sex. So, meaning, at this stage, maybe love would start to come into picture. Being in a relationship to opposite sex would come in, and the pleasure zone is centered in the genital area. So, in this last stage of psychosexual development, the individual develops a strong interest into opposite sex, and it actually starts in puberty stage and until onwards. If the other stages have been completed successfully, the individual should now be well balanced, warm, and caring. The goal of this stage is to establish a balance between the various life areas. If fixation occurs in this stage, the person may develop a guilt about sexuality, feelings of inadequacy, and then poor sexual relationships, and then anxious feelings regarding the opposite sex. Before I end this discussion, may I give you these words to ponder? So I have here personality has power to uplift, power to depress, and power to bless by Paul Harris. Listening.